Better, you guys. I'm gonna get better. Thank you for being patient. And just a reminder, I am not a gossip vlogger. I just like to share my thoughts on what's being shared to the world and how it can apply to everyday thoughts. My thoughts may sometimes be out of alignment, along with spelling that word wrong, with others, but I have no malicious intentions, just pure entertainment. Let's get it. So, first of all, what are we talking about? Who the truck did I marry is taking over the internet. Yes, I didn't mean to spell it that way because this she has basically 50 parts of it, and it's like a lifetime movie, a really crazy lifetime movie, just how she goes over it. So we're going to watch these videos. We're going to talk about what can we learn from this. Some of you ladies have not experienced this, and for that I am very grateful for that. But we're going to talk about what to learn, what lessons to take away. How can you avoid this behavior? Unfortunately, sometimes, it's nothing you can really do. Sometimes you could have all the ammo in the world. You could have all the ammo in the world, but still, like, fuck up. Sorry for my language, but you can still mess up. So, again, we're not watching the whole videos, but please check out Real Talk with Yanni. She has an amazing channel. She talks a lot of women issues, and I love her because she's not all about women are always right, believe women left and right. She's logical with this. She explains situations, and she's gorgeous. So check her out. Please, please, please subscribe to her. I love it. So first, let's talk about this lady. Who did I marry? This is a TikToker, Risa M. Tisa or Risa Tisa. She has over 710,000 followers. She's probably going to have more by the time we finish. She's had 7.2 million likes. She does lives on TikToks, and she has a cash app. So if you want to give her a little something, you definitely can do so. One of the things I noticed as I went through her TikTok, I don't, and the problem is I've come in at a later time. So sometimes when you have things go viral, you amass a whole bunch of followers just like that. You get, especially when she has 7.2 million likes, you'll amass followers just like that. So I'm not quite sure how many followers she had prior to doing this lifetime TikTok. But as I go back through her older TikToks, and I think they go back as far as 2018, I didn't see any TikToks about the guy she was dating. I saw one about, how she's going to go talk to a dude or entertain a guy that she's entertaining. But I didn't see anything about relationships. And it looks like she did a whole bunch of like funny type of uh TikToks with mashes with other TikToks and other videos, and some with police um, themes, because she does say that she does work in law enforcement. And she is not, a cop or anything like that. She is a civilian, but she is used to that world. She married a pathological liar, in her words. And the reason why I say in her words is it's not that I don't believe her, but I res- I don't know these people. Okay, I'll comment all day long and talk about it as if it was true, but at the end of the day, I don't know these people, and unless I have like some super receipts, or it's like, something like that, it's hard. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, he did that, but I'm going to say according to her, because she says that, and I'm hoping it's true, because I would hate for you to get online and you to trash this guy. So I'm hoping all of this is true. She did a 50-part TikTok series. So if you don't want to go to Yanni's channel, which I really feel like you should, you can go to TikTok if you're on there, and you can watch it blow by blow. What Yanni did, she just condensed it all together at once. And we're just going to take a look at it and dip our fingers in it and just, get some commentary. Don't forget to show love. Please, please, please. Don't forget to like this video, share it, comment. But, if you don't do anything, please subscribe. Help me get to 100 followers. I would appreciate that so much, because I'm working to get better and better at my content. And these slideshows, although they look a little ghetto, they take a little time. Okay. So, please be kind to me. I'm going to get better and better, you guys. All right. So let's do part one. And I want to just make sure I'm going to turn it on because I want to make sure it plays it. Hey, booze. Thing my brain could not even comprehend. Awesome. So it starts. So I'm gonna I skipped over some of the Yanni stuff because I just kind of want to get into it. And she's like me. She's a talker. So please excuse me if I don't go through the whole thing or if I jump around because my goal is just for you to at least get the gist of it. So let's talk about it. Yes, he said that. Yes, she did go through that. I have no contact whatsoever with my ex-husband in any way, shape, or form. We do not communicate. We do not have mutual friends or anything that where we communicate through those people. No contact. I cannot stress that enough because I feel like somebody's going to ask me, do you still talk to him? No. I ain't seen him. I ain't heard from him. I don't want to hear from him. And I will tell the entire story up until the last time I did hear from him and what happened. Yeah, this is my story. So I am just a regular woman who thought she met the one, and I didn't. Most people have never came in contact with a pathological liar. We typically come in contact with like a compulsive liar. It is not the same. A pathological liar has no reason for why they lie. And the lies that they make up, there's no limit to the lie. I was once a psychology major in undergrad. I didn't graduate with a psychology degree, but I'm very comfortable saying that he was a pathological liar. He was a narcissist. And yes, there was some in my opinion, mental health issues going on. Pathological lying part, absolutely. So I want to preface all this by saying, you're going to probably think, what in the world? There's no way this happened. Everything you're going to hear me say actually did happen. I've never dated a pathological liar, but I've met people who are pathological liars, and I have not. In talking to him, there were some stories where it's like, that's wild. And usually, if I think a story is very wild, and you know, and I know you shouldn't always go off of looks, but their looks have a place. At least, if you gonna lie, play the role. But what I have seen is with pathological liars is that sometimes they have some wild stories. I met a guy and every part of the conversation was a lie. I have 24 cars. Why do you have 24 cars? I have 13 condos. Okay, you got all of that, but yet you gotta take a bus someplace. That does not compute. Like, what are we doing here? So let's get into it. I'm gonna jump around a bit, like I said, because I don't want you guys here all day because I've already heard it and I feel okay about what I heard, but I just want you guys to. There's some stuff that we could just bypass because it is just a lot of filler talk, kind of like now what I'm doing. 465. Oh, also, man, I apologize. So let me go back to the first conversation. Let me add something. He did tell me in the first phone call that he was divorced, and that his ex-wife, she had two children, a boy and a girl who were teenagers, young adult. I think the girl was about 20, and he said that he had a very close relationship with his stepkids. But that he and his ex-wife had divorced because she cheated on him out in California. And so coming to Georgia was a new beginning for him. She was still out in California. The kids were still out in California. And so, he was like, I can't stand her, but I still want to be in the kids' lives.
have to put that in there because that will come back later. So this is just setting the stage. Again, that first conversation was, we talked about family, job, friends, how he ended up in Georgia, me being in Georgia, the things that, I would think people talk about in the first conversation. All right, now back to the tire blew out. So he shows up to the gas station. He changes my tire, which I just thought was the sexiest thing in the world.
So just to give you some a little bit of background, I know people like quit pausing, but listen, I just want to give you background. So before she went to go meet him, they had talked on the phone, they went out for a date, her tire blew. Um that's what she's talking about. And she felt like that was, now that she knows what she knows, she felt like that was a sign from God telling her not to do it.
And then he proceeds to say, "Hey, I found a tire place around the corner. You need to get another tire. Like, you can't drive on this donut." So he followed me um to the tire place, and then helped me get a tire, paid for it. So I was definitely like, wow. And so the vibe was good. So anyway, I get the tire fixed. We follow each other to the Cheesecake Factory over in Perimeter. We hold hands walking into the Cheesecake Factory. So in my mind, I'm like, this is just this. Oh my God, I had butterflies. That's the look of a woman who had butterflies. So I had butterflies, and we go in. There's a long wait, and so we sit outside and we just talk. And the conversation's great. And this is where he tells me what it is he's looking for. He tells me, I believe at the time he was 42. He was like, I want to get married and it be for real. He's like, my parents were married 40 plus years before my mom passed away. And I want that. I want marriage, family, a house. Like, that is what I want. He was like, I'm as a man, I'm ready to get married, but I want it to be for real, because the first time, it really hurt me when she cheated on me.
All right. So number one, right? I didn't say this part, but she met him on Tinder. He actually had two. She met him on Facebook dating, but she also matched with him on another dating app. And on one page he went by like his full name, and then on the other page he went by a nickname. And he had matched with her both times. Okay, so something to point out: they're just meeting. He goes, he buys her tire, and this is where I say red flags are red flags when things go south, because he could be the nicest dude and he could have bought that tire for her. It could be just a gentleman in him and he could really like her. So of course some guy, a dude would never buy you tires. Not necessarily. If he's a generous man and he truly likes you and he has the money, it'll be like, yeah, I don't mind, I got it. But what it sounds like is that she doesn't really date a whole bunch of men who would do that, which I get it. I think most of us who are in the position of like that where we are probably don't meet a lot of guys who do that, who would just, tires are not expensive or not cheap. Especially if you're buying a new tire, and depending on what type of car she has, that could run 100 to 200, couple $100. So for him to do that would show her, okay, he's interested in me. The age old adage of men spend money on women that they like, whatnot. So it's very important that when you're dating people that you don't just look at one type of flag, you look at multiples, because this is a flag after the fact. During it, probably didn't make sense to her. Then on top of that, she talks about how they had a good conversation. Boom. When you were dusty, you don't really have much to yourself. So all you have is time to have a good conversation. And then three, um, the other thing that stuck out to me was that she said he told her what he was looking for. And that is beautiful. But also it could be that she might have posted it on her social media page that she's looking for marriage. A lot of women will get on those dating app and put a whole soliloquy or a whole a whole book about how they want to be married and you need to come correct and don't talk to me if you're not looking for that. So by you putting that on your apps, on your dating apps, guys already have the book on you. They already have the little. They're like, yeah, okay, yeah. She's looking for marriage. Boom. All I gotta do is say marriage a couple times, and she's with me. And a lot of men know that women are groomed more so to want marriage more than men want marriage. So if a man goes in and talk about, oh, I want marriage, he has a high percentage, a higher rate of you wanting the same thing, just because women come out the womb wanting to be married. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I think it's very important to give women those tools before they go out into the world, because when you're so desperate for marriage, or when you feel like you have to get married and you need to get married and your life depends on getting married, you make some tragic mistakes. So we're going to jump a little bit further.
So you have the money to pay for a home. I'm also holding in my hand a letter from Chase saying that he was approved for $750,000. So I went off of what I saw. So we contacted a realtor. I won't say his name, but man, if he ever sees this TikTok, I owe this man such an apology. But we contacted a realtor who was based in Cobb County, because I was very adamant I wanted to move back to Marietta, Smyrna area, in Cobb County, Georgia. He was fine with that. His whole attitude was, you're going to be my wife, happy life. So we met a realtor. I would find houses that I wanted to tour. Keep in mind that this was COVID. So at the time, we could not tour a home. It would have to be a virtual tour. So this particular realtor, we found a house in Douglasville, Georgia. Not Cobb County, but nevertheless, it's in Douglasville. I was fine with Douglasville. So we found a house in Douglasville, Georgia. The realtor did a FaceTime tour of the house. The house was really a nice home. 5 bedrooms, 4 baths. So we did a FaceTime tour of the home, and the home was listed, I believe, roughly 400 and something thousand. I really liked the house. I could see myself living there. I could see us living there. I could see us with the kid there. This is now April. Just for timeline purposes, this is April. So he really liked the house. He was like, you know what, we'll put an offer in on the house. He was like, if you like it, because again, it was COVID, we weren't going to be able to see the house in person because the family still lived there. So he said, I'll put an offer in. We'll see if it's accepted. I said, okay. So he puts an offer in. He's telling me he put an offer in. I need to clarify some things he told me and the things that I actually saw. So for this house in Douglasville, he told me he was putting an offer in. The realtor would call me, because one thing that the realtor told us, he was like, if the woman likes the house, typically the house will get bought. So he kind of dealt with me a bit more than he did my ex-husband. And again, this is April 2020. This is before we got married. So at the time, he was my boyfriend. So the realtor was calling me and it was like, hey, I put the offer in, and what they're asking for is proof of funds. And I did not know anything at this time about buying a house. So I was like, hey, you probably need to talk to him, because I'm not even listed on the mortgage. Like, from the paperwork I saw, it was only in his name. And the realtor was like, he did? I didn't know that he put an offer in. And I said, well, why wouldn't you know? Like, he told me he put the offer in, and he had paid earnest money, $5,000 earnest money. And so the realtor was like, let me call him and find out what's going on with that because I didn't know anything about it. So red flag, of course. So I call him and he in true narcissistic nature, he flips the script and he like goes off. He's like cussing, going off like he should. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. He shouldn't be calling you. If he has a question, he should call me because I'm the one that's on the mortgage. He was like, and now it's going to be an issue. And I said, well, did you put the offer in with him or not? And he said, no, I did not put the offer in with him. I put the offer in with a friend of mine who is a realtor.
Okay, so just to catch you up, at this point, this is all happening around COVID. So when they started dating, COVID was happening, and then a little bit later into them dating, the shutdown was happening. So he lived in the studio, and she lived in a really nice apartment or a house, I'm not sure, but it's much nicer than the studio. They opted um, to be shut in at her place. Okay, now mind you, they had not known each other that long. I'm talking about months. They haven't known each other, and she's already moved man into her home. That is a huge flag. A guy who's so ready to move into your house, not like, hey, let's get a house together, but he's so ready to move into your home and he's content with living in your home. That is a flickety flag. All right. Um, then what happened was he was like, we need to buy a house. So he was telling her that he had all this money in the account and he had a offshore account and he had these different accounts. Now, if you see this gentleman, there is no way this dude has this many accounts. I get it that you don't judge a book by his cover, but when you make a lot of money, I mean the money he was talking about he makes, you look a certain type of way. I'm not saying you wear Gucci and Prada and name brand left and right, but you look put together. Some people discover his Facebook page, and if it's him, he does not look put together. He does not look like he has $700,000 living in a sitting in a bank anywhere. But she saw the Chase account where $15,000 in the account, and he was like, "I have this money in this offshore account." They put an offer on the home. He was going to pay $700,000 in cash. Again, that lets me know that you're not the greatest with money. You don't put $700,000 in cash on a home unless you're trying to flip the home. You're trying to get it in, get it out. You're going to flip it for more. Unless it's for some reason, it's a horrible interest rate, during a time period. What else? Another reason why you would put down, you never really would put down that much money in cash on a property if you can get good interest rate, because you could take that money and you could put it in a CD or some other place where you can make more money. It just doesn't make sense. There's also a multitude reason. So that would have been a flag to me. But also, I've worked in the real estate and the housing industry. This is why I say, ladies, get as much experience underneath your belt, because when you engage people, your bullshit meter goes off way more. He would go on, they would have this situation happen several times where realtor is asking for proof of funds, for it to go to the potential homeowners, and he would not show proof of funds. They go through this 3 more times. That one time was all I would need at the age. I feel like me and her might be the same age, so I don't know. I don't know. I feel like if you're I'm close to 40. I'll be 39 this year. So at this point that would be a flag to me. But in my 20s, I too might not know a lot, but I wouldn't associate that necessarily with he's flaggy. But it would make me think, like, why wouldn't you show that? I had a guy who I dated a guy, and he went to prison, but he told me that he went to prison for X, Y, and Z. So I'm like, okay, well, that's not bad. This is before I knew about FCMC clerk and looking up people, before I knew about that. So he had told me the offenses. And based on what he said, they didn't seem that too bad. Like, okay, like you made a mistake, you got emotional. All right, you served your time too. Cool, let's move on. When we tried to get an apartment together, he had, and they ran his criminal report, he had like a litany of offenses. And I'm like, no, him and his dad have the same name because that happened to my dad. Him and his dad has the same name. And sometimes when my dad got pulled over, they would bring up his father's record, which was not his record. So I'm thinking a similar thing happened to him. He was like, nah, that's not me. Da, 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 yes, that's not all that is not me. I'm like, okay. So when I go back to the house and talk to him about it, or I didn't even talk to him about it, in my mind, I'm just like, oh, they're tripping. Me and my dude gonna get another place. That was God telling me, nah, ma'am, you're not going to get this house with them or this apartment with them. So I go in there and we go in the back. I go into back to my house and my friend is with me. And he's like, come here, let me talk to you. So we're in the back room and he closes the door and he's just going in on me. Like, unwarranted. Don't you ever do that to me. Don't you embarrass me like that. And like, I'm thinking in my head, like, nigga, you embarrassed yourself. You the one who went to jail all those times. You shouldn't be embarrassing me. Like, you had me going in here thinking you just had 2, 3 offenses. So I'm so glad they ran that report because she was just running down like, you could get this place, but him, mm-mm. And that should have been a flag to me. And I didn't stay in that relationship much longer. We didn't get married at all because the flags were overwhelming. I just didn't know what they were. So we're going to go to part 2 because at this point they've been dating for a bit. Now they're trying to get homes. She's seeing several flags, but she's like, nah, let's keep going. So let's go, and then we're gonna,
because he called me every single jeweler and he was like, all right, so this means that you're gonna be my wife. I was pregnant. So again, when I asked y'all to give me grace, it's because there are certain things that's just like, girl, what was you thinking? Trust me. There's no excuse. So there was never a, will you marry me? It was more of a, we're living together, we're having a baby together. We need to get married, because the backstory also was that his dad was a retired police officer, but at one point his father was a pastor. So he could quote the Bible like nobody's business, as we all know. So can Lucifer. But anyway, he could quote the Bible like no one's business.
So remember, they hadn't been together that long. This is during the pandemic. So we're looking at 2020. She moves him in. She gets pregnant by him, and they're not married yet. This is not a soapbox of you need to marry before you carry. This ain't that. But again, you don't know this individual, and you shouldn't be giving him a benefit of the doubt when it comes to your body, right? Because it can get you in trouble. So it got her in trouble. Now I will share with you that she later miscarried. She did not have the baby. But even the way he married her, like, he was excited about her having a baby. He was pumped about it. It was there. I should also mention that he said that he worked for some type of condiment company, and he made it seem like he was a VP, and he had a secretary or an assistant, executive assistant, that would fill and take his calls for him. So yes, I know. So she got married, she got pregnant. He just put a ring down, was like, hey, you want to do this, which is never like a way for me, in my mind, is never a way for someone to get married. Like, this is supposed to be a life-changing situation. The least you could do is put just a little bit more thought, but it is what it is. So we're gonna go down a little bit further.
So basically, what ends up happening is we leave. He has the printout. He calls the bank, or he calls his financial advisor, who does have a name. The financial advisor's name is Eric. I feel comfortable using certain people's names, especially if we find out they didn't exist. So he calls Eric. He tells Eric in front of me, hey, I need to transfer $72,526, whatever the amount was, because I'm buying a car for my fiance. This is the bank account information. Do you need me to give it to you over the phone, or do you need me to email it to you? Pause. I can't hear what the person's saying, but that's what he would do. Do you need me to give it to you over the phone, or can I email it to you? Okay. Okay. All right. Give me a few minutes and I'll go ahead and email it to you. All right. Let me know. I'll call you back to find out if you received it. Okay. Hang up.
So, what he would do is he would pretend like there's other people on the phone. He would pretend he was talking to his siblings, sisters that really didn't exist. He would pretend like he's talking to all these people on the phone, and she would just hear his version of it. He would even do things like, "Yeah, what you doing, bro? Hey, how you doing? Hey, my brother said hi. Oh yeah, she said hi too." And then pretend like he's talking to someone the whole time. And I know somebody, one of my thoughts was like, you couldn't, like, you would just sometimes, you when people are talking on the phone, you can overhear them talking to other people, but not always, because sometimes I turn my phone down because you don't want someone to be yelling something private and you're out in public. So he did that a lot. And also what he would do is cars. So he would tell her, "Oh, let's go get these high-end classy cars that she wants, because she wanted these cars." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll buy it for you." But again, it would always fall through, because why? Because he ain't had the money. He ain't had the money. So let's go do another one.
I don't play about death. So I was just like, wow. Because of these two deaths, he became a stickler about COVID. And when I mean a stickler, wear your mask, wear gloves, hand sanitize, wash your hands. Like, he was annoying about making sure neither one of us caught COVID. So now I'm going to give you the backstory in regards to what I was told with the ex wife. Okay, I know I look rough, but it's okay. It's okay. Anyway, so this is part 12 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So, this is the backstory on what I was told for the ex wife. This is important. Pay attention. All right. This is 2020. So, this is what I was told in 2020. I was told that he and his ex wife used to be friends. Then they started dating and subsequently got married. They got married in California. He had bought a house with the money that he made from arena football. They had apparently had gotten married on the downward of the arena football career. Had a nice house. He showed me a picture of the house, showed me pictures inside the house. Remember that?
So I'm sorry, it's like in the essence of time, I've got to run through it. So he tells us, he says that he filed divorce from his wife because she was cheating. Upon further investigation on her part, she discovered that the wife actually filed to divorce him. His wife was the petitioner of the court. And it was basically, once she reached out to the ex wife, she discovered that he would do the same thing to the ex wife. The arena football thing. He had said that he made so much money from arena football. That's where he has that 700,000 that's sitting in his account. Now, all this is all the this is why it's so important to learn and ask questions and talk to people. Arena football, by and large, is either it doesn't pay at all or it pays very little. You're not retiring from arena football like you would retire from the pros. Okay, arena football is, it's almost like a glorified extracurricular activity sport. What it comes down to is the amount that he said he has. There was no way it came from arena football. She should have asked more questions. She did not, because you're just, and I get it, because you're like, well, I don't know anything about it, so I only can go off what you said. But I'd be curious. But again, I don't know how old she is. As I remember the story, this happened a couple years back. I don't know where she's at. I run everybody through. I do background search. I do precursory cursory searches online for people. Just because you might meet a guy who's amazing, you do a search, you find out he was connected to a disappearance of an ex-girlfriend. But because he didn't get convicted of it, he has a clean record. So Um, she also talked about how he had earlier we talked about he had family members that said they died from COVID. Upon her finally talking to a brother who he's estranged from, and the brother doesn't even mess with him like that, she learned that they did not lose any family members from COVID, not the way that he said it. Weird, and which is weird. Like, why are you lying about that? What does it do for you to lie about something like that? And she keeps one of the things she talks about is during the first time around with the housing and the money, and basically how funny he was acting about the money. She said, I knew that he was lying. So she felt it in her spirit that he was lying, but she still stayed there and still entertained a lot of this. That right there is your intuition. And almost like, duh, jumping up at you. So when you choose to ignore something like he's lying because it doesn't make sense, there's no rhyme or reason to it, you need to run. But she didn't, so she stayed there. And she doesn't say it right here, but she stays a lot, and she does acknowledges like she should have been gone. But one of the things she talks about is that she wanted a family so bad. Her parents, they had that. Her mom was really focused, in the church and focused on them being married. And you're about to be pregnant. You need to get married or do something. You need to shit or piss or get off the pot. That's a thing. She also talked about how she was desperate, and um that comes with low self-esteem. When you have low self-esteem, you tolerate things that you should not have. Some people would say, hey, that she's not socially attractive. Shit, I'm not socially attractive. But just because you're not socially attractive to everyone doesn't mean that you deserve just whatever scraps are on the floor. It has to start with you. If you don't like something about yourself, change it. But you need to understand that the work has to be done inside of you. You can't just change things on the outside and not do the work inside. So my heart does go out to her. So we're going to jump to another one for the sake of time. And this is very interesting. So again, once you jump off of here, make sure you go check out Yanni so you can get the full
So,
thing.
the friend who took me to the hospital when I had my miscarriage has met him. He and I have been to her home with her and her significant other. So, again, even in the world of COVID, when there were little times where you could get together with people, he has met people in my life. He has met my friend or that particular friend, and he has met some of my coworkers. So when we got married, the first 2 weeks, like I said, was fine. And then it's as if something snapped. Something just changed. What was totally acceptable before, suddenly little comments were made. Why are you wearing that to work? You get off at 3:30, so you'll be home by 5, right? Things that had never happened before. He had never questioned what time I'm gonna be home. Really, he didn't need to question it because when I'm off work, I leave. So it was never a situation of, oh, I'm gonna just sit around at work and just run my mouth because I have nothing to do. And then it turned into, he would call me every day from work, and I'm going to demonstrate how those phone calls went, but he would call me every day from work. And if he even so much as heard a male voice in the background, he would have little comments to me. Who was that? Are they in your office? Man, I never know who's around you, because it seemed like every time I call you, I have the hiccups. Sorry. It seems like every time I call you, there's some man around. And I'm just like, at first I kind of shrugged it off. I laughed it off because it really, truly was absurd to me. But then it became a bit more frequent. And so I really just didn't feed into it because I'm like,
So, when I'm surprised. I don't know if it's because she's a heavier set woman, but for her to describe what she's saying, I'm surprised it never got really it never really got physical. Because sometimes with that, when people do that, when people are pathological liars, narcissists, you cannot trap them. You cannot trap them in lies. Don't try to expose them. Like, as soon as you see someone as a pathological liar, and as soon as you feel like they're really a narcissist, you need to get out of there because it could be very deadly. I remember reading about a woman who was living in like she was living like more of a luxury life, and she met this man, and this man was he was what she wanted, but she found out he was a pathological liar. And once he discovered that she was a pathological liar, or when she discovered that he was a pathological liar, she started emailing the chicks that he was dating, emailing people in the circle, like she was going to basically expose him. And um, I understand why, because you feel the need to alert other people. But she would also like kind of antagonize him in a bit. She would CC him on the email. She would tell him she's going to expose him. And once, as a narcissist, once they feel threatened or cornered like that, it can be really deadly. And I love that she shared her story, but you have to know, when you put things like this on the internet, people are going to go and search. And I know you're not doing it for the sake of somebody, and she's, because she never says his name, she never calls out to him. I think the internet is just smart. If people are want to search, they're going to search. So they found this guy who supposedly looked like him, and now they're plastering him all over the internet. So I'm a little concerned for her, because he might, especially if it messes up his dating, he might feel like, wow, I can't date a woman, I can't get a woman because of what she's doing. You know what? I am in emotional distress. I'm a killer. It doesn't make sense. It sucks, but that's what they do. So I am concerned about that, especially how she talks about after they got married and there was such a change. It sounds like he was more jealous. It could have gone really, really wrong for her.
So I said, okay. And I knew that something in me again was like, nobody came to the house. So now here we are, a month and a half married, and now is when I'm like, what the fuck did he make that up? Because no one came to the house. No black Charger came to the house, pulled back into the driveway. Nobody got out the car and asked for me. Nobody was looking for me. So now I was sitting in the bedroom thinking through all this, and I'm like, why the fuck did he make that up? Because that's what happened. I'm looking at the text messages on my phone where he's telling me someone just came to the house looking for you. But no one came. So what was the purpose of that?
So this is just another example of him being outrageous. He tells her that a dude was driving a black Charger, drove up into the driveway, came in and asked for her. He let him know that she's married, and just in case he didn't know, the dude was like, "Oh, okay," jumped out of the car and he left. And when he told her about it, she was like, "Well, who was it?" Her concern was, there's no way, I need to know who it is, because I don't want people to just be rolling up to my crib, because that's not okay. That's not what we do. Like, that's not okay. So, and he was just like generic with the description. So in her mind, she's just like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't match up with any of the guys that I date. You're lying. But why would you lie about this? Why would you lie about it? And he also kept saying stuff like, well, it kind of sounds like you've been doing something. You're more concerned about it than me. Then why are you so pressed about it? Da, 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 da. So at this point, things are getting crazy. She's going down this hole, and a lot a lot more things are not making sense. She's never been to his job, which is wild. His mother had passed away, but some of the relatives that he talks about, she just never really met them. So she's just like, what the French toast? So finally, she does a search on his divorce decree. And when she did the search on it, it brought up the ex-wife's information. So then she reaches out to the ex-wife to confirm, to ask about, what happened. But in my opinion, at this point in life, you really don't need to know.
So I'm like, okay. I asked him about it. And in part 26, I'll tell you exactly what his response was. Part 26, who the fuck did I marry? So I asked Legion, what's the deal about San Diego State? He was like, what are you talking about? And I said, why is there no records of you there? Just came right out and said it. Without missing a beat, this man said, well, I was a private citizen. What the fuck does that mean? And what he said is that when he started at San Diego State, his father paid money so that, okay, it's important I have to say this with a straight face. His father paid money so that his name and social would not be publicized and he would be considered a private student, a private citizen. He said that he had a card where all he had to do was show the card. He does not have to give his name. He does not have to give any information because he has that card. He said so San Diego State would not have any record of him, but he was in fact a student there. I said, and you claim that you played football. He was like, I did play football. I said, so you're saying that the school did not publish your name anywhere and they were in violation of NCAA rules? And he was like, why are you asking all these questions? And I said, I'm just curious. I'm just curious. You're saying that you're a private citizen, but yet how were you in compliance with NCAA if you're a private citizen? And they did not publish your name on any roster. So that was his excuse. He was like, all I can tell you is that I was a private citizen. My dad paid for it. Okay.
All right. So at this point, she got done talking to the wife, and he had told her prior to this that he had lived in San Diego, California. He played sports. He played for college league. Told her this. She called the wife. The wife was like, "That's bogus. He's always lying. That's how we got divorced. He never tells you the truth. He's never lived anywhere besides Georgia. If you talk to him again, or please don't talk to me again. I'd rather not be included. I never want to talk to him." So she goes to him and starts confronting him. You never do this, ladies. Like, don't confront no dude. Like, she knows he's lying at this point. Like, if she knows it, she doesn't need no validation. She doesn't need any verification. And if she says he's a narcissist, you definitely don't want to go and corner him. She's in her house by herself. There's no one else there. She's confronting him. This is how things can go awry. If she asked him, like, hey, how come I can't find you at San Diego State? And he's like, I'm a private citizen. What does that mean? Oh, my dad paid for it. Da, 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 da. Now, and you're like, oh, okay. Pretend like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. But in your head, that don't fucking make no sense. That don't make no sense, right? So in your head, like, keep that energy. As I go, because I've never heard of a private citizen. But as I sit here and look up what a private citizen is, this is from the Justice Department of Justice. A private citizen. We are all private citizens. Private citizens just basically mean that you're not elected to a state or local position in the government. That's what a private citizen is. You don't hold any position in the government, okay? So what he say does not make sense. And in essence, she's poking the bear. Now I know, ladies, it's like, well, I just want to know. I want to know the truth. I want to know the truth. And I get it. But sometimes knowing this truth, you don't need to know the truth because it might cost you your life. So she's over here talking to him, and he's telling her everything. He's cornered, but it doesn't look like he gets crazy with it. So let's go to the next one. Again, I'm sorry. It's going over, but I really feel like this is all really good information.
Been on TikTok and said, "Thank it had it not been for the blood." Y'all, I know this is gonna sound dramatic. I know this is gonna sound like, girl, you so funny. You don't understand. Had it not been for the Lord on my side, had it not been for the fact that I know I got a praying mother. I know I had a praying aunt. I know I've had a praying grandmother in heaven, because I'm telling you, I clearly saw what was getting ready to happen. Had he not gotten up, got his shit, and got out of my house. So I'm trying to calmly say this because I'm trying to calmly tell this story because the rage had taken over me. The pure, unadulterated rage that I felt when he said to his aunt, "I ain't never lied to her," after I had discovered only 2% of the lies at that point. Just 2%.
So at this point, after that conversation, she brings up all the other lies. And I should also throw in here that earlier in their marriage, they ended up going to couples counseling. And because, she's like, I want to make it work. So they go to couples counseling. And the preacher and his wife are just like, you guys are not going to make it within a year, because mainly because she's like, he won't show me this bank account, and he's like, I don't show no woman all my stuff. My uncle always told me, don't let everyone see everything that you're doing. I don't show all my money to nobody, and it's no woman. What a great way to enter marriage. What a great way to enter marriage. She's just some woman, sir. She's your wife. She's your wife. She's not just some regular woman off the street. This is your wife. If you can't show your wife your income, why are you with her? I know, because you might be a liar. So at this point, she calls him on his bluff. She's like, you gotta get out the house. And he ends up contacting his aunt. So he tells his aunt, I've never lied to her. I don't know why she's doing that. And that's what sets her off. And so we'll do one more, and then we'll come to a conclusion.
Arrested him. Yes, it was a valid arrest, but the warrant had expired. So I believe the warrant had expired like 6 months earlier, but of course it wasn't put in the system. Which means that if the court date is August 29th, he's going to be released August 29th or August 30th. I'm moving August 31st. So my mom was just like, please just spend the night at your aunt's house. Like, just spend the night at your aunt's house, then go back to the house during the day. The movers will be there, and then just move. So that's exactly what I did, because there was concern that he would get out of jail angry and catch an Uber with no money and come back to the house, either for retaliation or because he's just in a fucking manic mode.
Very true. So at this point, and there's a lot of details. Again, if you want to watch the full one, check out Talk with Yanni, or go directly to Risa M. Tisa's TikTok to watch the full videos. But at this point, she kicks him out. He's trying to stay in the house because he doesn't have any place to go. He's kind of protected by laws. He ends up going to jail because he has a warrant for his arrest for some unrelated charges, unrelated issues. And at the end of it, she talks about just how he's living in a car and the last few contacts, and just her uncovering more and more lies, because there were a lot of lies he told. And there were things that she witnessed, like she said, there was things that she actually observed and she viewed, but then there were things that she trusted him to tell her. She gave him too much trust. So let's discuss it. Let's just get into a few points, because I think as women we need to be on better alert. You can't give You can't give these guys an inch because they will take a mile. And especially if you're desperate, you cannot be so thirsty because they're like, cool, they're going to prey upon you. There's a lot of predators out here parading as providers, and they're not. They're not. She said she had low self esteem and she was desperate. I mean, what more can you say? And if you have low self-esteem, you need to figure out why is your self-esteem low, and if there's anything that you can do to fix it. Did you have some traumas that happened to you as a child? Go see some counseling and get it fixed. Do you not like the way your body looks? If you're overweight, lose some weight. If you feel like you don't like the way that your legs are hairy, or you don't like the way your makeup is bad, take some makeup classes. If you feel like I don't know how to cook, take some. Like, there's all kinds of things you can do to make yourself feel better and be better and have that esteem. I know some chicks who have all the esteem in the world and they do not look socially appealing. So it's not about you being the prettiest. It's about how you carry yourself, because if you carry yourself like a G, people notice that, and that's super sexy and attractive. A confidence is amazing because you could be the most beautiful woman in the world, but if you have to sit here and you're clingy and you have to ask for validation, that becomes unattractive. She's desperate because she was so desperate to marry her. I don't know how many guys she's getting. To me, it doesn't really sound like she's getting a lot because she was impressed by things so quickly. When you deal with a good quality of men, you're not always impressed. When you have a dad who like goes to the mat for you, you're not impressed so easily. So by her being desperate, the little things that he did, it was like, oh my gosh, this is a man. And she fell for a hook, line, and sinker. And it sounds like he's done it before. He's perfected his art. That's the problem with these type of characters. They perfect their art, so each time they get a new victim and they go after a certain type of lady. I'm curious to see what his ex, because it showed that he was actually married twice before her, from my understanding. So I'm curious to see what his exes look like, because it seems like he might go after people if he thinks like he could pull them. He rushed to move in with her. I get it. It was COVID. They were on lockdown. To me, that's all the more reason for you guys to take it slow. And she said like they were on lockdown, but like you could still go and drive to work. You could still go and drive places. People just during COVID, people were still out driving. People were still going to other people. It was frowned upon, you know. But it was just odd that they felt like, well, it's COVID, we're about to be on lockout, we might well stay with each other. When no, you didn't have to do that. He could still come over and you could go over there, but y'all did not have to stay together because y'all weren't together. I thought that was kind of strange to me, but that also is a sign. I have a friend of mine who she's dated this guy, and before they got together, he was all this. He's promised her this, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And then she got the house in her name. He moved in with her. And now he's like not doing none of the stuff that he said he was going to do. And he was really excited about moving in with her. And instead of, I just felt like if I was a dude and I would want, if and I could, my credit was good, I would want my name to be on that house as well, because she can't put you out if the house is in both of your names. Like, you guys both have rights to it. So I thought that was a lot. If a guy is quick to move in with you and y'all haven't even known each other long, that is a flag. Super flag. Let's see. Counseling before marriage. So they didn't do any counseling before marriage. I think that everyone should do counseling before marriage, even if you're not a religious individual. And I say that because sometimes when you're really deep into it and you're deep into that relationship, um, you don't understand, you don't see the flag like she didn't. It's like on some occasions she didn't recognize a flag. On some occasions she did recognize it was a flag, but like for just because she just wanted to be in love so bad, she was able to ignore the flag. Had she got married or got counseling before the marriage, perhaps somebody would have pointed out to her, hey, this guy seems a little suspect. maybe if you should say no. But even if they said no, because she wanted it so bad, it's a good chance that she probably wouldn't have paid any attention to it. Refused to share his financial status completely. He talked about how he had offshore accounts and he had money over here. He was ready, he kept wanting to put cash offers on these houses. I feel bad for the realtors involved because the one chick, she was like, she told him, hey, what we're going to do is you're going to send me your proof of income for these houses. When you're dealing with houses, once you start hitting like six-figure homes, they want more information because some of y'all are suspects. Like this. Can you imagine giving this dude a $400,000 home just to find out he it's a scam? He doesn't have the money. Like, come on, man. Let's be for real. She put out there that some of her friends, because he said that he will not show proof of income until they sign the contract. And she said some of her friends agree with that. Your friends are flipping idiots. There is no way I would ever sign a contract and I don't have solid proof that you have the money in there. You want my home. And especially, with offers that are too good to be true, because most people are not putting down that much in cash like we talked about. You need to have some type of some security, and that wasn't what was happening. Had limited exposure to his family. He kept talking about he had all these sisters. He talked to his brother every day. Before you get married, before you get pregnant by someone, who's your best friend? I need to meet him. I need to go and see them in person. I'm gonna ask questions. Like, don't be afraid to go and investigate these people. You are talking about being married for life for someone. If someone has a problem with you meeting their family, they are not it. If someone wants to be with you forever, they don't mind you meeting their family because you're going to be a part of it. So, let's do it. So that's a sign to me. If you never meet someone's family, they never bring you around them, or like if you have a really good relationship with your family and they have a really poor relationship with their family, flags. Gave him too much power too soon. Absolutely. He she was so ready for him to be the leader, to be the husband. She just listened to a lot of what he said. That's earned. I get that women want you want to be submissive. He has to earn your submission. You don't just go submissive to dudes just cuz. They need to earn it. You need to see that they are a capable leader. I know a lot of guys are out here tricky. She needs to be submissive. I mean, eventually submission needs to happen. Submission is not just a woman thing. Submission is a both thing, because there's some times where guys submit all the time. They don't use submission because they know that submission is like it's a um it's a feminine word, right? But dudes submit all the time. They submit at work because they can go back and forth and arguing, but if you do that, you're going to be arguing all day. So they're just like, all right, all right. That's a submission. That's a form of submission. Okay. But they don't use that because that's when submission has a bad connotation, except for when it's applied to women, because of course women should be submissive. Did not listen to her intuition on several occasions. She talks about how she felt like such and such was a bad idea. This was a bad idea. That was a bad idea. She talked about things being bad ideas left and right, but yet she still went through them because she wanted to be married. That's it. That's all. Marriage is important. I get it. Marriage is necessary. I get it. A lot of people want to be married. Absolutely. But don't ignore that intuition, because just imagine if she would have had a kid with old dude. When I was dating this guy, one of the things I thought to myself was, is this a guy I would want to be in contact with for 18 years? Because in essence, that's what you have to think when you lay with men. That's in essence what you have to believe when you lay with men. Um, you have to think, if I get pregnant by this guy, is this a guy that I want to be in contact with? Some guys will be like, oh, you think too deeply about that. Of course they're going to say that because they're trying to get into your pants. They're going to try to say things to you to shake your beliefs, to shake you up so that you can give it up. Now, I'm not saying just, this is you have to be with this man or you only sleep with your man who you marry. That's something different. But you have to recognize that it's a good chance that you might get pregnant. We are in control of the babies. We are the baby makers, the baby carriers. We have that. With that being said, because we are the baby makers and the baby carriers, we need to be selective about who we give our womb to. Like this needs to be a person who deserves to be a father because they earned it, because they did it. They do it. Um a lot of times we just are so desperate to have a marriage because and I won't put it completely on women because society pushes us. You see every day, hey, if you're over a certain age, you're a failure. If you're not married, you're a failure. Your 20s were the best years of your life. You'll never get married. Da, da, da. You're, da. You hear it all the time, and I get it. It becomes a fear becomes built into you, especially when you see all your other friends getting married and having the life that you want. And I felt that way. Like when I was in my 30s, I was like, damn. Well, I'm still in my 30s, but when I was in my early 30s, I was like, damn, everybody's getting married. I had that low self-esteem because I was hoping, well, let me hurry up and jump in because you want to know somebody for a couple years. I want to still have kids. Um, I understand it, but I have to bring it out there that a lot of the people who were getting married in their 20s, a lot of them got divorced. And a lot of them are now bitter. Some of them have a circle in the box, like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, "Nah, bruh, you too bitter for me. No, you should have picked me first round." But also, you never know people's relationships, but you gotta listen to your intuition. You gotta stop listening to fear. When you operate out of fear, you're gonna get fear type of stuff. So, who is this guy? So that was my other thing. People went online, they did research, and they found him. I'm not going to put his name out there or any pictures of him because he didn't put it out there for everyone to see. If he releases a video and he talks about it, I will find it and we will talk about it as well. But she should be able to share her story. Absolutely. But he should also be able to live his life in anonymity. Okay. I know what he did was not cool and was not okay, but I say that because what we can't just go off and just believe people off rip. A lot of times we're believing people without any facts or any receipts. I didn't see her post a text. She talks off while she had these text messages. She had these voice memos. I didn't see it. I'll go back and go and look at some of the updated videos she has, or maybe you check it out. You let me know. But to just blindly believe someone, and I don't know her and I don't know him. I don't know what transpired. People, it's just so many things. So allegedly, he is a real guy. He has been found, but let's pretend that she is correct and it is the guy that she's talking about. When you see him, all the more reason why I look at her and I'm just like, you gotta get your self-esteem up, baby. Because when you look at him, there's no way that he had the money and the cars and the houses that he said he had. Like he looked, and when I say dusty, he looked, he's not even edged up right. He's not even shaved right. His outfits are, they weak. When people when you see people with money and how they look, they do not look raggedy because they can afford to groom themselves. He looks they can afford to get groomed professionally. He looks like he groomed himself. Okay. Um, he also had pictures of houses, and you can tell and these are pictures from houses way before she released her stuff. We're talking about a year or two ago. And you can see that he has pulled houses from off of Zillow and places like that. So I can see how she probably thought he was, he was telling the truth. But again, you do have to trust your gut. So if he's a real guy and he really did this, shame on him. So I really hope she's telling the truth. Is she real? Now, again, I told you I looked at her TikTok and I went pretty far back in her TikTok, and I didn't see anything about relationship before. It looks like she was just all about humor and jokes and little short skits, and then she blew the internet with this story. I hope it's real because it's very involved. But she could be a pathological liar as well. And as you saw how she described him, pathological liars, um, they lie for no reason. But also, if that's really him, she may be onto something. Um, so let me know what you guys think. Go to Talk with Yanni. Go to this young woman's TikTok page. Watch the videos. Let me know what you guys think. My final thoughts is women and men, but I talk to women because I happen to be a woman, and I imagine if I was talking to my younger sister, be careful about who you date. Vet, vet, vet. Find the one of the good male role models you have in your life. And if you don't have a good male role model in your life, look at some males in the community that you could potentially look up to. Have the dude you date meet those men so that they can vet. Sometimes there's things that we can't see because we don't hang around with dudes all day. Like there's some chicks where we hang around chicks and you could look at a chick like, oh, she about money. Like there's a difference between a chick who she holds herself in high regard, so she holds a dude in the same regards as her, versus that chick, she's just about, she don't want nothing. Hear her conversation. She just talking about money. She don't want you. It's one thing to talk about finances; they are important, but to have a whole conversation talking about what you need to buy for her and she wears this, she ain't about nothing, right? You know your own. So that's why I do recommend you take those dudes to a male that you trust so they can vet them, because sometimes they can sniff out stuff. Sometimes, sometimes they don't. Um, I also believe if you have low self esteem, quit dating. Quit trying to have someone marry you when you're in a low place. Nobody wants to marry somebody who is in a low place. Work on pulling yourself together, getting yourself together so that next time you go out here in these streets and you meet a good guy who's actually a good dude, you don't fuck it, because you've healed yourself, and you're only going to keep attracting broken men if you're not healed. Because remember, they can smell desperation a mile away. They're like, I smell desperation. That's literally what they do, you guys. So, my gosh, we went for an hour and a half. I am so sorry. But please subscribe, hit that notification bell. Come back next Monday at 9 p.m. I'll tell you what's going on in the world, what's popping on the internet. I thank you guys for joining me today. I've held you way, way too long, so we're going to stop sharing the screen. Thank you guys for watching me. I have a like, I have a follower, or somebody's watching. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let me know what you want to talk about. I love to talk about different things. I love to have conversations. So before I go, make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell. Thank you guys so much. Check me out on Instagram, Get Rich or Cry Trying, where I'm on there, and I like to make you laugh and I like to make you smile. Thanks. Bye.